We're continuing our Indiana primary election night special. We have team coverage for you from some of the biggest hotly contested races across the state. And we're going to start our coverage this hour with Dustin Grove, who's in the newsroom right now. He's been tracking and monitoring the votes and the results as they come in. And so, Dustin, we got a couple races called so far and some others that are now close.
That's right, Ann. And one of the themes we've been watching very closely tonight is how much weight does a President Trump endorsement carry? We've been watching 7 key state Senate races where President Trump has endorsed the challenger because the sitting senator voted against congressional redistricting late last year. And right now, of those 7 key races, it looks like we're 1 for 1. Greg Good, the incumbent, it looks like will keep his seat for now. So he has won his primary over Brenda Wilson, who was the Trump-backed candidate. Greg Good winning with 54% of the vote. But over here in State Senate District 19, this is Jay County, Blackford, and Wells County area. Look at this. The Trump-backed and Governor Braun-backed candidate, Blake Feichter, has been called the winner here, unseating incumbent Travis Holdman, who had been in that seat since 2008. He was the Republican caucus chair of the Tax and Fiscal Policy Center. So some of the other races we're watching, also Senate District 21, Tracy Powell challenging the incumbent James Buck. Tracy Powell, also a Trump-backed candidate. He's ahead right now, 63% to 37%, with 48% of precincts responding. And then another big race we're watching at the congressional level, House District 5. And right now, J.D. Ford, who left his state Senate seat to run for this seat in the House and the Congress, he's winning right now with 43% of the vote. They're hoping all of these candidates to run against the presumptive Republican who will be Victoria Spartz, Congresswoman Spartz. She's got 58%. But look at this, Scott King, virtual unknown in the larger political community. He's an Army veteran with a background in chemical engineering. He's got 42% of the vote right now, with 40% of precincts reporting. That's the latest from the Results Center. Went ahead to Emily Longnecker. She's covering Congressional District 7, where Andre Carson was just projected to win that race. Emily?
Yeah, the Associated Press, Dustin, calling that race just a few minutes ago. We know that the results coming in showed that Congressman Carson had at this point over 60% of the votes. Now, usually when he has faced a primary challenger in the past, he's won by bigger margins than that, 90%. But as you've pointed out, and we've all pointed out, he faced 3 challengers this time in this race, and what many were calling one of the most significant challenges to his seat. I'm joined right now by Dawn Hughes. Dawn, thanks so much for being here. We were talking, she is both a candidate and a voter this primary election. You ran for a precinct chairmanship, right? Precinct 20.
Correct.
Tell me about, this was your first time running for an office. Tell me about what compelled you to run for office.
Well, due to the state that we're in, I've wanted to participate in the political environment, so I knew I needed to get started, and no better way than as a precinct committee chairperson.
Okay. And the race everyone is kind of talking about here tonight, this is the Marion County Democratic Watch Party, was Congressman Carson's seat. You told me you're a Congressman Carson supporter, so you voted for him. Were you surprised that he won tonight? People were saying that he faced a significant challenge this time around.
No, I'm not surprised because of what he's done for the constituents and what he still plans on doing. For us here in Indianapolis, I was not surprised at all.
He had 3 challengers this time around, which was something different. He's sometimes faced one challenger, sometimes not in the primary. What do you think that was about, that 3 other people came out to run against him in the primary?
I think that, of course, I can't speak for them, but I think people think that they can do better. They may have felt that he's been in this position for a while now and it's time for a change. However, we still feel like Congressman Andre Carson has work to do, and we support him.
We talked to voters about a lot of issues and some of the things that they were concerned about, and we heard from Congressman Carson's challengers about some of the things that they thought that he was falling short on and could do better. Out and about in your travels, what did you hear from voters, or what were some of the concerns, even as a voter yourself, that were on your mind?
Of course, health care. is a big issue. The civil rights here that we're facing, and of course, the advocacy of just being a citizen here in Marion County.
And all of that also compelled you to run for precinct chairmanship. Okay. Dawn Hughes, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Okay, so back out here at the Marion County Democratic Watch Party here at IBW, Local 481. Also just talked to Marion County Democratic Chair Mila Eldridge. She also expressing the fact that she was not surprised that Congressman Carson was holding on to his seat in this primary challenge. And she couldn't say for certain, but she was possibly hoping that at some point Congressman Carson would be here tonight. So if that happens, we'll let you know. I want to send it out to my colleague Jenna Webster, who is covering the Hamilton County Democratic Watch Party. Jenna?
Hey, good evening, Emily. Yeah, we've been watching these results pretty closely tonight. We've got a pretty good crowd here in Westfield for the Hamilton County Democratic Party Watch Party. That is all just, we've all got our eyes on everything, keeping a close look. I want to bring back in Josh. He is the chair of the Hamilton County Democratic Party. So as we're kind of looking at these results coming in, looking at the 5th District, J.D. Ford's got a lead right now. Is there anything surprising right now about how the results are shaking out?
I think the most surprising thing is just the amount of turnout. I mean, we have triple the Democrats voting in the primary than we normally do in a midterm. So, I mean, that's what we were working for, but it's still shocking to see.
Yeah, you and I were talking earlier, and you said it felt more of like a presidential election cycle just with turnout. What is driving turnout right now in Hamilton County?
So I think you have a lot of people that are upset about the way the nation's going, you know, about the Iran war and really affordability, but also I think this is the best slate of candidates we've ever had. I mean, a lot of these candidates would run away with it if they were by themselves, but they're going up against somebody that's just as high of a quality as a candidate. So the voters really had some tough choices to make, and they were excited to do so.
And quite a few of those candidates are from Hamilton County, too, I believe. How do you think each one of these candidates would shake up against Victoria Spartz if she is the presumptive winner tonight come November?
I think all of them draw a distinction. Representative Spartz has really shown more of an allegiance to President Trump than the voters of Indiana. And I think that's something that every single one of these candidates is really focused on, is that they're hearing from Hoosiers when they go door to door about things that are making their lives harder, and they don't feel like Representative Spartz is doing anything about it. So I think any of them would be a very good distinction.
With 7 candidates on the primary ballot tonight, how do we bring the party together? How do you guys bring the Democrats together for November?
I think we're already all united. Actually, we had a debate, and that was literally one of the questions that was asked is, will you support the nominee? And all 7 of them said yes. We see that there's a much bigger goal this year, and I think everyone's going to come together, do what we need to do to beat Victoria Spartz.
All right, well, thank you for your insight. And Victoria Spartz going against Scott King right now in her own primary. He is competing quite well with her, actually. She does have a little bit of a lead. Speaking of Republican primaries, Alex Almanza keeping an eye on the 4th Congressional District, the Republicans. Alex, at last check, it looked like incumbent Jim Baird still had a pretty sizable lead.
Yeah, a pretty sizable lead indeed. About 60% of the vote, and then Craig Haggard is trailing behind that. We're actually at a watch party. Craig Haggard is hosting a watch party here in District 4. Again, a very Republican-led district, and things are still kind of trailing in. We got about 35% of the vote in, but we got Craig Haggard over here who's been keeping an eye on things. I know, Jim Baird's still in the lead. How are you feeling? I know things aren't necessarily looking up to at least too good for you right now.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we knew when we started this that, I think the statistical chance is 2% against an incumbent. But at the end of the day, it's been a great experience. I've met people throughout the district. I've discovered places in Indiana. And whatever happens, that I will always treasure. So, either way, I'm running in 28, win or lose. And I guess we'll wait and see. At this point, it's in God's hands, and wherever I'm supposed to be, I'll be. And so I just can't say how thankful I am for all the people that have helped, that have chipped in, that have donated, that have, done everything for me. And we'll just have to wait to see. But either way, I'm fine with whatever happens. I'm just, proud to still represent the people now and hopefully in the future, and it's not going to stop me whatever happens.
Yeah, and obviously there's been a record turnout for the primaries. What do you think is leading some folks to go to the polls? We've been hearing affordability. In the end, does it matter if, how many doors you knock on or what endorsements you get? What do you feel is the driving factor?
Well, I mean, affordability is a big, you go to the gas pump, it's, $5 a gallon, or in some places or close to that. So people are still seeing prices go up. I don't think they're happy with the status quo, which seems odd that they want to keep voting for the same thing and they'll get the same thing. But also, I think the massive involvement in outside folks for the redistricting issue. We've already seen one prominent state senator go down, and there was a lot of money thrown into this state, and I think that brings out probably a lot of voters.
All right. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on some of those races coming in. Thank you again, Craig Haggard. So we're going to keep an eye on the race here in District 4, still leaning pretty heavily toward Jim Baird, about 35% of the vote in, but those remaining counties, several still have about 0% reporting, Dustin.
Alex, and Craig Haggard was talking about money coming in from out of state, an estimated $13.5 million in ad spending from outside interest groups. So that's virtually unheard of in a primary election here in Indiana. Quickly want to go over some new results just into the newsroom. State Senate District 1, the Republican primary with 34% of precincts reporting. The Trump-backed candidate, the Trump-backed challenger, Trevor DeVries, leading right now with 73% of the vote over the incumbent Senator Dan Durnall. And also walk with me over here. We have a projected winner in the Republican GOP primary for House District 7. Patrick McCauley with 85% of the vote. So it looks like he will face Democratic incumbent Congressman Andre Carson for the 7th seat in November.